It's noisy. It smells like, a bunch of stargazer lilies. Some flowers to celebrate mama and the baby. Wondering if the lilies are too intense for baby's nose. But of course, I'm thinking at this time of my baby Maya coming earthside. She was born on Sunday. Fun Father's Day gift. With her sun aligned to my moon. And she was born by day, so the sun is her sect light, and I was born by night, so the moon is mine. So it's a really fun synastry that we have. Her north node is on her mama's moon, and her part of fortune on her mama's sun, and I could go on and on and on like that. So it's really intriguing to look at synastry between members of a family, right? Family constellations, we often call it in astrology, though I very much honor that that term is also applied to a wonderful, psychological approach to family dynamic works. I want to say before I launch in two things. One, that at Storytelling Hour today, I'm live here on my YouTube page at 11:11 a.m. Pacific time every miércoles, Mercury's Day, every Wednesday. And today I'm going to share some of the deepest sacred astronomy keys that unlock the great mysteries of our day and age. At this solstice coming, we will have shortly thereafter moon occulting the galactic center, which can only happen in our day and age around solstice time and in the lunar standstill, which means the north node is near the tropical Aries cusp, the east point. And I'm going to show you the astronomy of why this is, but most importantly talk about what this is and what we can do about it, because it really is the most magical alignment of Earth, Moon, Sun, galaxy that is possible, and it only happens for little windows every 18 and a half years within a little window of about 500 years every 26,000 years. Right? So please join me later today at Storytelling Hour, 11:11 a.m. Pacific time. Probably Storytelling Hours today, as it has been and typically is. Now, if you can't make it live, please know that you can find a playlist for my Wednesday transmissions by typing in GeminiBrett.com/weekly into your magical machine, okay? Also, please, if you haven't yet aligned your star with ours, if you haven't joined the School of Astrology's constellations community, and Diane, I see you, and Nadine, I see you, many of you have, but head over to GeminiBrett.com/constellations, and for still the maiden voyage price, I'm not sure when it's going to shift, $16 a month or $160 a year. You can join an amazing community with so much going on. We have several community discussions each week where you can connect with fellow seekers of like heart and mind. I teach a class every month. This week we have two teachings, one by Amala Hall tonight, Astro Herbalism of Gemini and Mercury, and she is just a deep wisdom holder and teacher. It's amazing. Be there. That's at 4 p.m. Pacific today for those of you in constellations, or those of you who want to join now, do it. You can unsubscribe anytime. Also this Friday, Alyssa Luna of In the Moon Den will lead an astro embodiment practice, her fourth such transmission for constellations this year. She began in the Aries Sunth, and now we come into the Cancer transmission. So that will happen at Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time. All right. So do we choose our birth times? That is the topic. of our exploration today, and I hope I don't get disconnected from you, because we are going to be driving through the woods a bit as we discuss. Of course, I'm thinking about incarnation and how it all works, and how much did my baby's prenatal eclipse matter in April, when Mom and I and her brother Koa were outside having a wonderful ritual and some burning ceremonies. Koa this morning, he's like, hey, what are these ashes? I was like, dude, those are the ashes from our eclipse ceremonies. And what are we going to do with them? I was like, we will create, right? Not sure when, but there's something I've been working with since that time, and then really connecting at the recent Gemini new moon, which I suspected would be my daughter's prenatal syzygy, prenatal lunation. For those of you, like my daughter and my beloved, born, and our guy, Koa, for those of y'all born with the moon waxing, we rewind to the new moon before your birth. For those of us born with the moon waning, we rewind to the full moon before birth, and that's the prenatal syzygy, the alignment of the three things, earth, moon, and sun. And there are whispers in the tradition that this is when the soul and the body meet and integrate. Now, that doesn't mean like children in the womb are soulless until that time. There's just a something gets unblocked. The river flows. There's no words for these things. And also, what do we know? And when can we? Maybe when we return to the other side, wherever that is. And of course, it is everywhere at once. So can't we be there if we simply close our eyes, breathe, and open the portal called love? Yes. Okay. As the story goes, two astrologers had baby coming soon to a theater called Them, and sadly baby was past due date, and they had to get the pre-stress, the non-stress test they call it. Actually, Anna and I were scheduled for that today, but fortunately Maya chose to arrive. And at this test, these two astrologers learned that it was going to be safest if their baby was not only induced but came through this world through C-section. And of course, they were dealing with that when this very interesting question was asked. When would you like to schedule your child's entrance? Now, these are two astrologers. And so they looked at each other and asked, well, should we? Meaning, should we elect our baby's birth time? Is that playing God, or is that using this tool that God has led us to so that we can offer from the start our baby the best potential? Just as, you know, if you move to a neighborhood to help your baby go to a better school someday, right? So they decided it was their responsibility to use this sacred science to help the baby right from the beginning. And they chose their date in the small window that was offered, and they chose the time, you know, somewhere between doctors' tea times or however that works. It's certainly not at night, for the baby to enter this world. Now, when the time came, and there they were and getting prepped and all that, there was an emergency down the hall, and so doctor and the team had to run away. And by the time they returned, their baby was born at the time they would have least likely elected for that day as astrologers. It was not the time that they chose. It was anything but. So that's the story. What does it mean? I would suggest that as much as the parents want to assist this baby to be born when they believe is best, it is the baby who knows the code that will best support them in the life that they chose. We are here to grow, my friends. And by the way, that portal opens first through feeling. Feeling opens healing, opens knowing, opens growing. And here we are with the solstice coming, and the sun will join Mercury and Venus in Cancer. Actually, Venus got there first. And it's a feely time. And I'm really blessed. I just want to give gratitude to family vibes, especially my sister, but also baby's cousin Whitney came over, and my sister's band Damn, and we'll be seeing more faces sometime soon. All right, so as I sent out in the Weekly Planet today, a little bit late this week, and I hope you're on my mailing list. If you're not, GeminiBrett.com. I send a report on how to connect with the visible stars for this week and much more. Please join the list. Anyway, in the Weekly Planet today, I offered that my feels for the Celestial Symphony this week. Feeling equals healing equals knowing equals growing. Give love and receive love if you are courageous enough to do so. Right, so I got to hear my birth story yesterday. I mean, interestingly, Anna and I were in a birthing class. She didn't need it. She's had experience. I don't, and I did. I don't have experience, and I needed the class. At least I can say it really helped. It was fun to like see how ignorant I am. I mean, even about biology. And it was just really helpful to like learn different ways that I can support my partner in her birthing process, which was of course intense. And it's good relationship work in general. Recommended for everyone. You can probably only enter if somebody's pregnant. Now, I can't speak for Mom, though I was there, and it was clear that she was going through very intense surges. But baby came in quickly. It was about 5 hours of labor. And Anna she's a warrior goddess. She's a goddess warrior. She's a goddess and a warrior. It's like really amazing to see my Aries moon beloved handle this the way that she did. And things were flowing pretty well, and we were in the waters. Like we were in the tub together, and that was the plan. But in the last few minutes, things got super intense. Okay, so let me rewind and share something about our own birth story. And I was like, I don't know so much besides something about the Red Sox in the World Series, and if I had been born a couple days before, my dad wouldn't have made my birth because he would have been at the game, which is true. I just found out yesterday, actually, that the Boston Celtics opened their season in 1975 on my birth date, October 24th, because my mom, whose memory is shifting at this time, still felt there was something about my dad, like, almost not making my birth because of a sporting event, and that would have been the option since the Bruins didn't play that game, although I should probably look into college hockey too. My feeling is that the story is a little bit different. So what happened is, for my sister, my mom's water broke, and they only made it to the hospital because it was a Saturday and there was no traffic in Boston, or less. And by the time they got there, like there was a whole team waiting for my mom in the parking lot, and they brought her in, and she had my sister, she says, in 7 minutes, which is nuts. Especially my sister was born in the Virgo month, right, where we like to do things particularly and orderly. Yeah, I guess I don't want to go too much more deeply into my sister's chart, so I'll leave that there. But so anyway, by the time Mom was pregnant with me, the doctors were like, look, we know how it was for your first birth, and we think you should be induced, so we know you'll be at the hospital in time. And interestingly, when my mom was pregnant with me, the doctor who delivered my sister, who is an elder at that point, died. And so it was his son, or his son-in-law, if I remember the story right, Dr. Hunt, who delivered me in the same hospital. And check this out, my sister's eldest, and I was there, that my due date was probably like October 21st or 20th. So if I look at my honors secondary portions for days before my birth, and we say 2 days before will come around when you're 2 years old. I got super sick when I was 2 years old and was in the hospital, and I wonder actually if some of that was dealing with my father's depression, disappointment, anger because the Red Sox lost the World Series to the Cincinnati Reds 2 days before my birth. Now that might all sound strange, but if it does, you don't have Mars in Cancer. So anyway, out of bounds. I might. So I'm feeling potentially that I was scheduled for a day and my dad said no because the World Series was scheduled to be played at that time and the Red Sox would be in it. And so that they went for Friday, Venus's Day, October 24th instead, which is when I came in. Now, I came in as a night birth. I mean, can you believe that? It's like a scheduled birth, but at nighttime, it doesn't happen so much anymore. Of course, it does, because after mom's induced, that doesn't mean baby comes right away, yeah? And so as my mom shares with me, Dr. Hunt and the team, like, I think gave her, I'm sure it was Pitocin or the meds to bring me in. And then he like disappeared and had to go be the woman down the hall. And it wasn't until my mom, who was a little upset about that and worried that given her history with the speed of my sister's birth, called for the doctor to come back in. Now, if you knew my mom, that's a very difficult thing for my mom to do. To like, you know, break the rules, to ask for help. We're not sure of my mom's birth time, but she either had a Capricorn moon or an Aquarius moon. And I think just from what I shared a moment ago, you could choose which is true. So doctor comes in because my mom got the courage to call, and then I was born. So in my world, that story I shared before of the baby born to the astrologers who had scheduled the time, but the baby was born due to an emergency down the hall, came in at a time that they would not have chosen. My feeling is that's the time that baby chose and saw a way to conduct this terrestrial play such that the doctor would not be there until the stars were aligned in the houses according to that soul's choice in design for this time. Now, that's a strange religion that I hold. I bet you're no stranger to it. The idea that we choose our time and place, the idea that we choose our parents and the culture to which we are born, the idea perhaps that we choose our, our everything. Let me stop there. So I would have chosen to have the Red Sox succeed in the playoffs so that they would make the World Series and play Game 7 on my due date, because I would have hung out. Sorry, there was just a dead skunk on the road, and I want to, love that being on the way out. So, now it's skunk and Lily's smell in the car, and that's okay. Something about Earth. It smells like lilies, and it smells like skunks. All right. Yeah, I would have had to arrange for the Sox to make the World Series. Why would they have to lose? That's important for my 2-year-old experience of near death and recovery. I would have had to arrange for doctor to leave mom's room and go tend to somebody down the hall until my mom kind of fought her own restrictions to say, my turn. And I imagine that was courage that she felt was boosted by some soul inside who was like, Mom, Gemini's rising, it's go time, bring them in, right? Now again, it's a weird religion to hold, and maybe I'm giving myself way too much credit in that version of the potential of a baby's entrance. But I bet you it was like this for you too. So I just read, I saw Miriam wrote something here. I'm going to pull over. And I'm seeing, by the way, there's a lot of comments, but of course I'm not going to look at them while I'm driving. But now I'm at a stop sign in our neighborhood. And Miriam said, I was born in just under 4 hours. Wow. Still trying to get to terms with being here 43 years later. I hear you. Yeah, Miriam, looking at the planets on your angles, there's something about that, right? I will say there was a time kind of where active labor began for Anna, that Pluto was culminating and Uranus was rising. And I was like, okay, it's on. And hey, baby, you might want to wait a little bit. But I think we can see probably a lot about baby's birth story. Like Koa was born in 36 hours, right? So there was a lot of astrology in that time. The moon would have moved like 20 degrees. But I think while it's good to track, like for in that example, the entire 36 hours, it's probably the birth moment itself that says the most. And Miriam, I would say there was something for you where to capture those angles and to do that chart to its fullest and all of its lily smells and skunk smells too, because that's how it is for all of us, right? And all of the tension and the release and all of the discord and the consonant beauty in the symphony, that like fast action was likely wise. That's hilarious time for the phone stand to fail. Yes, because that just means everything that I just said was likely wrong. I'm gonna just share one little last story. Is go up and give these flowers to the beloved and get ready for storytelling hour, which I can't say, but I can tell you it's at 11:11 a.m. Pacific today, and I want to bring up some slides. Today we're gonna do some teaching. Oh yeah, let me share the story with you. I recently did a summit and was asked to offer a free gift, and I decided I was going to create this whole thing. And then I had this great idea that I should do this, which was going to like make it like basically expand the effort necessary by 1,000. And I already did a ton for it. And so I'm sitting down and I was going to create like an expression for 144 moon sun combinations, which by the way, I'm going to do, I think next year, but I'm going to follow the moon and the sun and take the entire year to do it. That's the new plan. Cause I was sitting at my computer and typing the first few and realizing I was like, oh, this is like harder than I thought it would be. I looked up and we have these two hanging lights, glass, and they're just dirty. And I was like, I got to clean those. So I started cleaning them, taking them apart super gently so nothing will break. And I succeeded with one side. Interesting. But with the other, I did not. Because it worked a little bit different than the other lights. So there were two lights, not sides. And this one, I took the light bulb out and I put it in a place, literally like, you know, on a towel, in a thing, so it wouldn't break. But then I'm working on this other thing and a metal piece fell and smashed that light bulb and it went everywhere in the kitchen. And in the fruit bowls, I mean, everywhere. It was brutal. And so all I did for the next hours was sweep and vacuum and, well, maybe shame myself a little bit, and certainly didn't do the thing I had set out to do. Now, we have this great statement of the eureka, moment of genius or reception when the light bulb goes on. Well, that was a time when the light bulb went off. And so it was really clear to me, hey, that idea I just had is not the bright idea. It's the broken idea. So don't do that now, right? So I share that story in the end because I want to say, like, when things as simple as the camera falls and you can't be seen anymore, that's a sign that you're probably not on the right track. And when the thing falls and shatters the glass, that's a sign too. And let us please always have our ears open and follow the signs. So, my friends, eyes to the sky. Thanks for spending some time here with me. I hope to see you for Storytelling Hour in a little bit, and I'd love to see you in Constellations. We are having an amazing time in that group. People are connecting, sharing stories, opening hearts, working on each other's charts. It's been really wonderful. So GeminiBrett.com/constellations. Every time you hear me, you're going to hear me say that because not only is it my goal to help folks of like heart and mind connect so they will know that they in the starry study are not alone. It, of course, also helps me provide for my baby. And I'm freaking out about how to do that. Now, I want to say, Miriam, you are one of many people here, Nadine, Diane, and others who I'm sure I'm missing. Heather, many of you sent really wonderful baby gifts for us through the registry. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Many of you also sent well wishes, words of wisdom, heart, prayer. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Maya's last minutes of her entrance were crazy. Things were just flowing. Mama Goddess Warrior was just doing amazing. The surge would come, then a little relax, then baby's heartbeat. We're in the tub, the music's on, we're doing things. This is a song I created actually with my dear friend Eric, a soul song for the Taurus new moon of 2022, which was an eclipse and was at the same time as the Venus, Jupiter, Neptune conjunction when Anna and I first did the act that led to the conception of a baby who sadly did not make it through the first of two. Then things got intense and eclipsy, and we had to get out of the tub, and the baby was going to be born right then, and a lot of pushing. I mean, and so for me, that was Maya's moment of, this is my ascendant degree, and now's the time. I have a lot of trauma around the first birth that I experienced, which fortunately in the end also is okay. And so it was a lot for me to experience seeing my baby's head and not knowing if she was alive or the other thing. But all is good and everyone's doing great. And I'm gonna go make things even that much better, I hope, with the giant thing of flowers, because it was a long night for Mama last night. All right, thanks for spending some time with me. Hope to see you at Storytelling Hour in a little bit. If you can't make it, again, all my Wednesday transmissions can be found at a playlist here on YouTube. GeminiBrett.com/weekly will get you there. GeminiBrett.com/sessions. If you want to book a reading or a mentorship session with me, you can ask any question, and I promise to answer it as long as you promise to question my answers. That would really help at this time of need to step it up as a dad and be a provider and all. I'm freaking out. And GeminiBrett.com/constellations if you want to support the work in that way. And especially for next to nothing, receive amazing transmissions, 4 classes a month, several community discussions each week, and a really amazing space to talk story and to share. It's been great. So GeminiBrett.com/constellations for that. If you simply want to buy me a cup of coffee, this one's empty. GeminiBrett.com/donate. Big love to you. The present of your presence is the greatest gift. Thank you. And I will see you in space.